The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. When you think of Detroit, you may think of a few different things. For me, it's a terrible basketball team, high crime rate, and shuttered manufacturing auto plants. That may sound negative, but tonight I have nothing but positive thoughts on this high population city in Michigan, as tonight the American Muscle Series takes on the streets of Belle for round number 3 of their Season 6 campaign. Want to thank everybody for tuning in here to the channel. Excited to give you all the calls here from the streets of Detroit. Going to be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the production truck, which was a very difficult place to be last week. And of course, I got Andre Grandbush here helping me with all the color commentary as we just continue on the calamity that has been this series. Andre, we had 57 cars last week, and on a very narrow street circuit, we still brought 55 here to play tonight.
Yes, we do. It is going to be a lot of cars on track. Hopefully, the old NASA supercomputer holds up for tonight, and I think we should have less issues than we did last week. I know you were working pretty hard getting things figured out, getting things optimized, so we're going to see all of those cars in all their glory, and looking forward to this race in particular. I didn't know a lot about Belle here in Detroit, and it's one of the neat things about covering this series, kind of stepping out of our comfort zone, is I'm learning new things. I learned about the Mustangs, now I'm learning about tracks that I've never really seen, and this track's pretty interesting. Being on quite literally an island and having a bridge that goes over the river there, a very scenic track, I can say that, and this layout looks very tough. Lots of 90-degree corners, very narrow straightaways. These guys have a lot to deal with, and look at this, Corey. The Lemonades car has arrived. Finally, it only took 3 weeks, but we have one. Absolutely #1 paint scheme. Don't even need to look at the other cars.
Wait.
It wins.
What's happening, Trading Paints?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's a shared pit stall.
Oh.
So this is what happened. That's Austin. Yeah, I was also worried myself. That's Austin Pfizer's in the 194. So this track does not have 50 some odd grid spots. Or rather pit spots. So they will be sharing pit stalls, which just gave me a minor heart attack that my computer was crashing here. But this is currently the end of practice right now, when big shock in the dark here. Eero Nam, top of the board here. There's 2 drivers. He just beat Luis Enriquez there, getting into that 42nd bracket there. Jack Sanchez had a great run last week at the NERB. He is going to be 3rd. Parrish and Scotty Banks top 5. So that's where we stand right now. Again, end of practice. We do have our point standings to go over now. Again, we always have to reiterate that this is a multi-class league in a very rudimentary sense. So it is separated by skill sets with Pro and Am, but it is one overall point standings. So that being said, our pro drivers, Jack Sanchez in a very heated battle after 2 races, up over 1 point over Matt Malone, Scott Banks, Fabian Dwyer. Eero Nam, remember last week, he didn't have the best of runs with that penalty. He managed to get into the top 10, but he's only 5 points back, Andre. He's going to try to be fighting for that here tonight.
Yeah, it's a very tight points battle, and he can definitely make up some points here, but it's going to be tough because Jack Sanchez, Matt Malone, Scott Banks, these drivers have been pretty consistent across the previous races, always running up front, always getting camera time. So even if Eero goes out and wins this thing, I don't think Jack Sanchez is going to be too far behind. Now, the amateur drivers, leading the amateur class right now, Mark Royce has 43. It's a 1 point lead over Mike Thompson. Matt Thompson, 35 points there. So very tight, but again, overall, at the end of the season, it will be scored all as one class. But either way, amateur points close, the pro points close. It's interesting. I'm curious to see how it shakes out because we're going to have a lot of different types of tracks. This right here is going to be a bit of a wild card. I mean, we've gone to dedicated race circuits the last 2 weeks, and now here we are at a street course, which is just a completely different driving style.
Yeah, and right here at the exit of turn number 2, you go back here all the way off yonder here, but the camera's not really that great for it. But yeah, remember that race? I mean, the year is going to pass me by, but it was 16 through 18, one of those years where the pace car actually crashed there exiting turn number 2 here, as I hate when somebody goes out of the world here because it sends the screen into blackness here. But we are actually exiting the session here, heading into qualifying here. So qualifying will be utterly important here at Belle Isle because of the fact that, as we saw, Andre, when you have 50 some odd cars and you're gonna have super tight confines here at Belle Isle, getting through this pack, you're not going to be able to do it unless you're starting at the front of the field.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying is always going to be important in this league. Anytime there's nearly 60 cars on a grid, it is going to be important to start up front. But you're exactly right. Here at a street course with kind of a narrow raceway, you want to try and do your best to start up front. I say narrow, but look at this straightaway. It's actually pretty wide. That may be a passing zone when we get down to it. But qualifying has begun, and these drivers are going to be posting their times every week so far. We have had the top 10 less than a second apart. See if that trend continues here at Detroit, as the number 102 machine lighten up those brake lights. That's another thing I love about these Mustangs, Corey. They got brake lights. In NASCAR, you always just kind of have to guess when the guy in front of you is braking. Watch the body roll, see how the car moves. But here, no, big bright red lights to kind of tell you what's going on. And my personal favorite paint scheme, other than the lemonades, right here, at number 20. James Ott, James Ott, I believe.
No, that's Dahan Otut.
Dan Ott, I'm sorry, not James. Dan Ott. He's driving a RC-inspired theme. He's got Reedy, he's got Associated, he's got J Concepts, and as somebody who does race RC cars every weekend, I was surprised to see that pop up in the paint scheme discussion chat, but it looks great. Even if you took the RC stuff off there, just the design as a whole, he did a great job on that. We're going to go on board here for a little bit of action around Detroit, see what these drivers are going to be seeing. This is the number 4 machine, I believe.
Yep, this is Luis Henriquez.
You can see Henriquez is going to use up the curve. They were doing that last week as well, not afraid to use every inch of the track. Look, Corey, they paid $12 for this track. They're going to use the whole track.
Yes, they certainly will, and there's not a lot of it to mess around with here. So you're going to end up going down at the end of the straightaway here into turn number 3, as I mistakenly change here. Then you head out all the way to the left. You actually see a little bit of grass, which you never see grass at a street circuit, but we'll see it here today. Coming down a left-hand corner. And this is what leads you on to the longest straightaway here on the circuit, is this upcoming corner right here. Got to head all the way out to the left. It's not quite a straightaway in the sense that it does bend, but it's going to lead you into a braking zone, into the most narrow and treacherous part of this circuit.
That it will, and as he comes up to this right-hander, very tight corner, very tall curb. This is going to be a tough part of the track to navigate. You can see just how narrow it is as they navigate that right-left complex back to the left again. And then I believe after this little section, it should widen back up, but not going to be a whole lot of passing going on.
Very tight exit there with that tire wall. That is going to be a point of contention that we have heard a lot of drivers show some concern about. And this will complete a lap here for Luis. He's going to come around. You can see We Love Detroit. That will be the pit entrance there, and we'll see what he puts on the board here. First laps are becoming ran here. Top of the board thus far, Randall McGrew with a 41.7, but I have a assertion that that's not going to stay, because we did see a few guys down there in the 40s. We'll wait where Eero Nam is. He is coming off the last corner. His run to the line. Kevin Parrish goes up and gets a 69. Let's see what, I don't know why that keeps doing that. We'll see what Eero Nam runs, a 41.42 for Eero.
Yeah, just barely going to take the top spot from Phil Keck with his 141.59, Kevin Parrish 141.69, and a 41.7 for Randall McGrew. Then you get down to a 41.8, Jay Bass. Fabian Zweyer, he has been up front continually in this series. He's currently running a 141.92. Nick Beaver, last week's favorite in the chat, ran a 9.5. Then you get into the 42 bracket. Luis Henriquez, who we rode on board with. Reese Gardner, Evan Hubchak is going to round out the top 10 so far. But they are going to have time for another lap, see if they can't improve. A little bit of heat in the tires. I'm sure they will. I know that Eero Nam last week improved his lap time quite a bit in the sequential laps there, but as we follow along with this very bright green and purple machine, I believe that is the 103.
133 of Matt Thompson here. He's 29th on the board. Let's go back and we'll check with Jack Sanchez here. He is in that number 23 car. He has yet to complete a lap, but he's closing in on the back end of the circuit here. There's that very arduous. This is the hardest section of the track. I want to say it's turn number 8, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps even further back than that. But coming in on the last corner here, turn number 13, kink to the line. And let's see what Sanchez does. Top of the board.
It's going to be a 141.22, so he gets ahead of Luis Henriquez, who did improve on his second lap as well. But as we say that, Eero Nam is going to improve by quite a bit, nearly half a second. 141.08, getting a little bit sideways out of the corner, but so far, nobody breaking into the 40 bracket. We'll see if it does happen, although if Eero couldn't do it, I'd be surprised if anybody can. There's number 3 machine, Fabian Zweyer, coming around to post another time, using up the curb. And I'll tell you, he looks fast out there. We'll see if he can improve.
Yeah, I don't know why my... Oh, there it is. My qualifying graphic finally wants to work here. You can see there a 41.08 is top of the board at a massively fast, lightning quick 83 mile an hour average speed here around Detroit, which again, you have to remember the fact that they are 3,600 pound cars with about 300 some odd horsepower. So these are not the most nimble Indy cars that'll whip around here probably at 120, 130. But for a big, huge elephant of a race car, or production car for that matter, that feels quick.
Yes, it does. 83 miles an hour is nothing to scoff at, especially when you consider the fact that you have so many slow corners, 90-degree corners, things that are going to slow these guys down. They get onto these straightaways, get those engines revved up, and they're hitting this pretty impressive speed. Zweyer is going to tap the wall, and I believe qualifying discretion is on, so that is going to disable his lap. Into the pits he goes. He's taking a quick entry into the pits.
Sedanga, 41.7 there.
Almost getting a pretty good lap time there, but now looking back towards Chuck Labano, let's see what he can do on his.
Yeah, and I think last week, now Andre, memory is not our number one forte here, but I think he was one of the interviewees last week as the top of the AM class, and we were talking about him as he was blending in with a lot of those with a lot of those pro drivers. He's currently 19th right now, but he is the highest of the amateurs. You can see the pro drivers obviously getting their assertion here today with their lap times. Matt Malone did go 7th on the board here. Phil Keck still has those crazy whatever it is on the back of that car. I did a Taco Bell car. If you do sign up for a brand new Taco Bell account, you'll get a $1 cravings box. Not a sponsor, just a hack there. But let's see what he can do here as he is about halfway through his lap, about a half second off the pace.
And half a second doesn't sound like a lot, but when you got 60 cars on the grid, that could be many positions it is going to separate you from. So he's going to continue to navigate, try to get a little bit further up. Eero Nam still on provisional pole ahead of Jack Sanchez, current points leader. Luis Henriquez sitting 3rd, so that's going to be the podium for the time being.
He's going back out for one more.
Anybody who... Well, he's not going to have time.
No, he's pitting rather. So probably getting last second pitting practice, that is. Luke Sedenga boarding his lap. So everyone is starting to bail here. Jay Bast here closing in on the back end of the lap. Again, this is one of the hardest corners on the track here because that wall sticks out, really will bite and clog up the track here. One of the final corners, I think that was turn number, this is turn number 12, so that was 11. Right-hander, right under the Music City sign, and that will end the lap here. And you can tell there Jay Bast not going to better himself. Phil Keck, I think he's one of the only guys still on track. This is a live lap for Phil. He's down there in 8th, only a half second off the pace. So this is a live lap, though. So if anybody is going to improve their time, it's either going to be Phil or we do have Chuck Labano and Todd Hansen still on track.
And it looks like that trend is going to continue from the last couple weeks. The top 15 are separated by less than a second. Gives you an idea how tight the competition is. And at that point, I mean, that's just one missed corner, one slightly incorrect racing line being the difference from pole back to 15th. So impressive to see, but Phil Keck is going to get off of the track. Qualifying is complete, and it is Iro Nam taking the pole as we're going to be heading down to the very large grid.
Yes, it is. We are waiting for our grid to populate here for our session to change over. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV. If it's your first time, don't make it your last. Hit that like and subscribe button as we do continue on our growth here, and looking forward to the rest of the season here in AMS. Round number 3 of 12, 55 car grid. Again, with this many cars, just waiting for the session change over here. So that'll be Iro Nam on the pole, but we'll get you the rest of the grid very, very shortly here. Just waiting on that changeover.
All right.
All right, a little bit of delay there, but we'll finally go ahead and start our gridding process here today on that front row. And we'll probably have to get through this because I just wasted about a minute. Iro Nam starting on the front row with Jack Sanchez in that second spot. Third, Luis Henriquez with Kevin Parrish in fourth. Fifth, we have Fabian Dwyer and Randall McGrew. And then sixth, seventh, and eighth, Phil Keck and Matt Malone there. So that in reverse order. Reese Gardner and Luke Sedenga 9th and 10th.
P11 going to go to David Moore, and Scotty Banks is going to be 12th. 13th is going to find, if it ever scrolls over, David Fernandez in the 09 machine. Jay Bass to his outside, P14. 15th belongs squarely to Nick Beaver. Again, the chat's favorite driver there in the number 10. Evan Hubchak is going to be 16th. P17 goes to Neil Kemp. 18th goes to Andrew Lanning. Running out the top 20 is going to be Chuck Labano and Brandon Brush.
21st, Greg Hartman. 22nd is Mike Nickum. Todd Hansen, he will have a penalty from last week, but it should be fine this week. Ann Lane, 24th. Halfway through the grid, Matt Guzenda and Jeff Andrus, 25th, 26th. Dahan Otut, 27th. Dan Ott. Mark Royce, and then rounding out our top 30, Jesse Hodgson and Ed Sancinelli.
31st goes to Christopher Schultes, and alongside David Finch. 33rd is going to be Matt Thompson. Mike Thompson is going to be 34th. P35 is Jay Little, and P36 is Jeff Besnard. And 37th is where you're going to find Michael Buck. Dave Blair to his outside, P38. Running out the top 40 is going to be Levi Powell and Steven Price.
All right, 41st, Aaron Bray, Adam Freese, 42nd. 43rd, Brandon Smith, and then Ken Estep. Gary Winters and Tom Wendt, 45th, 46th. Greg Brockway, Charles Hosea, 47th, 48th. Ashton Feisers and Antoine Sidersky. And I'll just wrap up the last few. John Casey, Kevin Becker, Eric Burdoff, Ryan Bevel, and Freddie Weaver shotgun on the field in the 55th spot here. So big grid here on a street circuit. Over, under on us. Well, actually, let's just say, what are the odds we get through this first lap with only less than one wreck?
Well, it's hard to say. These guys have impressed in the past. Last week, we had very few incidents in the opening laps. In fact, I think we got through turn one completely clean with 60 cars. So if it was anybody else, I'd say, yeah, there's no way we're making it through lap one. But, these guys have surprised me in the past. So I'm going to say we make it.
All right, we will hope indeed. Now, we had a 4-minute grid timer there, so between the little changeover lag that I had on the back end, as well as us reading it, I don't know exactly how much time we have left, but I think I hear some engine sounds here, and yep, here we go. We're getting ready to go green here at Belle Isle for the American Muscle Series. Round number 3 is underway, I think. Green flag is in the air.
We saw the graphic, and there we go. So a little bit of a lag situation there as the cars did take off, and it looks like we're going to go single file down the very wide front straightaway. Everybody sorting to find their position. Hey, there's that paint scheme. Not a dog, by the way. That is, in fact, a human being. Apparently, I needed to fix my glasses there on week 1. But as we round the first right-hander, everybody finding their place on the grid. Iro Nam continuing to lead the way. Jack Sanchez, P2. Which may actually be enough to hold on to the points lead if that's where he were to finish. Luis Henriquez, Fabian Zweier, Kevin Parrish running out the top 5. A little bit of side-by-side battling further back in the field. Of course, that is to be expected with this number of cars. But so far, Corey, surprisingly clean.
Yeah, I'm going back. I see Stefan Price in the pits, and I'm going through and looking at all the back-end data available. I'm not seeing too much in the way of issues. There may have been something with Greg Brockway. Oh, we did have something that we missed here. Let's try to take a look at what it was. Oh, the 145 definitely had some issues here, and that's definitely stunted everything up. We try to get a little bit better look at that. The 145 car was the one that I pointed out. That was Antoine Suretsky there, I think that was. Zaretsky. He's hard on the binders here, entering 3. They're already locked up. Now, this was, I think, just a matter of everyone was just buckled up trying to get squared for the corner, and it just literally turned into a dead stop.
Yeah, just the accordion effect. It is a very tight corner. You're going from basically top speed down to very likely 40 miles an hour or so. And, it's like traffic on the freeway. When you got a car up front that slows down, the guy behind him slows down, and, well, pretty soon, by the time you get a mile down the road, you got traffic at a complete standstill, and I think that's what happened. So a couple cars damaged in that incident, but fortunately, a lot of those drivers involved able to continue on and compete here up front, not missing a whole lot. Nothing has changed. Iro Nam out front, Jack Sanchez P2, Luis Henriquez 3rd, and those drivers breaking away a little bit from Fabian Zweier and Kevin Parrish, who are 4 and 5 respectively. But so far, everybody just kind of staying relatively calm, clicking off laps. We're 3 minutes into the event. No need to get too excited now, but man, this part of the track, Corey, it is so narrow, snaking back and forth. It's impressive to see all these drivers navigating it one after the other, because I can tell you, I would probably be in the concrete barrier by now, but here they go into the toughest part of the track. Not abusing the curb in this corner, Corey. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, this is turn 8, 9, 10, and into 11 here, and this really pushes the drivers to their ultimate test, especially exiting there of 11. Now into turn number 12, a little bit of a kink that will conclude us for the lap here. Looking back from Iro on to Jack Sanchez, who's really found the secret sauce here as of late, Andre. I'm not sure if he talked to the person in the drive-thru or if he had to pay 40 extra cents for a packet, but he's found the secret sauce the last 2 weeks, really running pretty great in this series.
Yeah, he was not bad at all at VIR either. He got taken out a little bit by the pit strategy and a few other mistakes, but I mean, as far as raw pace was concerned at the season opener, he definitely showed the speed, and now he's cleaned up those mistakes, cleaned up the driving just a little bit, and it is showing in the results. He's been right up here with Iro Nam and everybody else who's so competitive. I mean, that's how he got the points lead, being consistent. Iro Nam had that penalty, was not able to get up front, so that's the thing. You can be fast, but if you're not consistent, if you're not smart about it, that speed doesn't guarantee you a win. It doesn't guarantee you a championship. So Sanchez kind of banking on the steady Eddie mindset, but in doing so, still running in the top 3. Fabian Zweier not far behind. I think Fabian, a little bit of a tail wiggle there out of the corner, but giving it everything he's
Belle,
got.
it's prompting to another potential crash. Brandon Smith here.
Oh!
Yeah, he got a little bit squirrely there, and he already had the damage, so just further insult to injury for him. He is in the pits here as the leaders do take another lap. We do have 24 laps estimated here on the evening at Detroit. You can see Aerodom here coming through that 8, 9, 10 complex. Jack Sanchez really aggressive on the brakes there, but a lot of times when you do that, you sacrifice the corner exit. Looks like Aero's getting on the power a little bit better. Sanchez a little bit harder on in, but again, this is also a test of attrition. This is a test of mistakes. Aero getting a little sideways there. So staying close could be enough to make Aero make a mistake, but he's also one of the drivers I wouldn't expect to make a mistake either.
Yeah, this is really surprising me. This is the first time that I've ever noticed all of these drivers really struggling for rear grip. Cars seemed to handle pretty good at VIR, handled pretty good last week as well, and now here at Belle Isle, it just seems like that rear end wants to swing out on corner exit, and I don't know if it's because it's the rough pavement and the potholes and the bumps, or what it may be. Maybe the track is just particularly hot on this day. I don't know, but these guys are slip sliding all over the track, and that's providing a huge opportunity every time Aerodom slides around. Yeah, 112 on the track. That would explain it, Corey. That is going to be one slick race course.
No, I don't even understand. I mean, that might be a lot just due to the drivers running laps, because a 75-degree air temp, rather, I would not think that would indicate a track temp to that degree, but obviously it does here. Going a little bit further back, we got Phil Keck in the Taco Bell car. He's in 8th. Luke Sedenga, Reese Gardner rounding out our top 10. Trying to find where's Matt Malone. We've gone this whole broadcast. I don't think we've really talked about him more than once. He's down there in the 7th spot again. He had a great run at VIR, but was a little bit off pace last week. Kind of was just a mid-teens driver, and now just kind of tagging on to that lead pack, if you will. Randall McGrew, he is in 6th, right to the rear bumper of Kevin Parrish here. I have a Parrish joke, but we won't bother the people with that this early in the race. We got about 30 more minutes for me to sprinkle that one on in there. But Randall McGrew had a great run last week as well, just trying to take advantage here. But you can see at the top of the shot, Aero starting to pull away a little bit.
Nick Sedenga got into the wall a little bit there. That 33 machine got a little bit tight on exit. You saw the smoke fly. I don't know if he's got any driver side damage from that, but these cars seem to be pretty hefty, so if there is any damage, I would expect it not to affect him too much, as this pack remaining single file, 3-car breakaway out front at the moment. Enriquez, Sanchez, and Nam. Again, these guys all struggling for grip. Here's a battle right here. The number 57 machine doing his best to keep the competition at bay. So we go to the onboard camera looking back. It is going to be Mike Nickham holding off Greg Hartman. Matthew Gazenda a little bit further back, kind of part of this battle as well, but just goes to show you there are battles all over the field, especially with a field this size. Look at the track map. I mean, it is just cars everywhere, start to finish.
That is a lack there of a rear bumper on, that is Kevin Becker in that 185 car. He is without a rear bumper, and we can perhaps go on board with Ashton Fizers there. You can see, just try to, I said it's a 3,600-pound car, so if you take off maybe a 20-pound bumper, that'll engage the NOS, I imagine.
Whoa. And in front of them, a little bit of an issue there. I can't quite tell who that is, but they got into the wall that opened up the door, so the bumperless Wonder is going to pick up another position here.
I like that.
After being involved in that lap 1, corner 1 incident.
David Moore. He's got a PTR TV logo on his car, and he's facing an improper direction. Let's scoot and see. I think that's turn number 8.
Rear grip. Again, the rear end just kicking out. That is the 4th time I've seen that tonight, Corey.
No, he is just sitting here like, what do I do? Where do I go? Well, he probably had time there.
Yeah, maybe. But the league did have a pretty hefty discussion in the Discord about protocol. If this kind of thing happens, is it better just to tow? Is it better to stay on your brakes and be predictable? And obviously, a lot of the drivers, said, yeah, if you can tow, you should probably tow. But at the same time, you got to understand that these drivers, if the car is relatively undamaged, they're not going to throw away their entire race and a potential comeback to tow the car. when they can just kind of keep an eye on their relative, try to be spatially aware. Where are the other cars? Where are they going? When do I have an opening? And as long as you're predictable, you stay on the brakes, and you make sure that you rejoin at a safe time, that's what the league wants you to do, and that is exactly what he's doing there.
I am having so many problems with the cameras here because there's a tree or a bridge or a billboard basically at every single camera I have here. But Jay Bast, 53 car, he is following Nick Beaver. Nick Beaver in that numbered 11 car. He's Wisconsin's okayest late model driver. So I don't know what that means for a Mustang. Is he Wisconsin's most average Mustang driver? I guess world may never know, but he is in that 11 spot. You got David Fernandez here, just a little bit further back from him in that 13th spot. Chuck Labano, the best of the AM drivers, he's up to 14th, right in the middle of this mess, with Andrew Lanning not too far back. So we got little groups all over the track, and half hour left to go. And of course, we do have the pit stop to be had. There's a little wall contact there, never hurt anybody. We do have that pit stop to be had too, so just have to sprinkle that in at some point. Probably expect that in the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, this pit road entry is going to be fun to watch when these cars come down pit road. It's such a tight corner, such an awkward part of the track that they got to dive in, as sometimes you see with these street courses. You kind of just have to make do, and there's another bit of a wall brush there. Can't tell quite who that was. It's a white car a little bit further back.
May have been Evan Hubcha. No, the 18. That was Andrew Lanning there. Just a little kiss to the wall, but he continues just fine. You know, these things are durable enough. They're Rubbermaid brand.
That they are, and again, it doesn't seem to be impacting the handling all that much. But behind the 18 machine, driver got a little bit loose there. Continually happening for these drivers.
You got Scotty Banks. What's he doing back there?
Yeah, usually Scotty's a little bit further up the grid, but he's down 4 from where he started, which is uncommon, I will say, for Scotty. Usually he's moving up the grid, so maybe not liking the handling of the car. Maybe this slick track is coming back to bite him, or maybe he's just trying to save some tires and play it conservative. Yeah, the interest rates must have went up, so he had to fall back a little bit to save his pennies up for. I don't quite know here. Got to get the puns in at some point or another, but other drivers, again, Todd Hansen, he was the one that had the penalty last week. He had 10 seconds added to his time at the Nürburgring after a third-party admin had to intervene into an incident, because this league does have, of course, Randall being the primary admin, but when he is affected in an incident, they do have a third-party system to review any incidents, so that is a kind of a good unbiased protocol, and they put the hammer down on him last week, but he's currently in that 19th spot. Not missing too much up front, or actually maybe we are, because Sanchez, he is just staying right on Eero, and now he's going to take a look into 3, and he will stay in line. I tell you, it's the logo on the roof. That's where the speed's coming from. Yeah, that's probably where the speed's coming from, but kind of the story of Sanchez's life. I remember last week he was really desperate to make some overtakes, and none of them really came to fruition. It's going to be even tougher here as we go on board with Mr. Sanchez. Lemonades goes wherever he goes. Currently, right now, that would be second position. But again, that's all he really needs to focus on, is just consistently racking up these podiums. Let the other drivers make mistakes. Let them have their off weeks. As long as you are consistent, that is what it's going to take. You can build championships on that. And he is so good on corner entry, Corey. I mean, look at how much deeper he drives it in. And yes, Ironam does get on the power just a little bit quicker because he was taking the slow in, fast out approach. But even still, Jack Sanchez is not losing that much on exit. So right now, I would bet if Sanchez could complete the pass, he may be able to pull away from Ironam. He might be the fastest car of this lead pack. It's just a matter of making the move. And man, looking at this track map, I don't know where I personally would even attempt to make a pass. They're going to have to get brave no matter what they do. Yeah, I mean, the front stretch here, I mean, you get enough speed, but this corner complex up here, turn 2, it's not enough, in my opinion, to make a pass. It's not enough of a braking zone. So you have to stay close here, exiting 2, and then you head down the long straightaway. I mean, you're not going to get much of a slipstream at these speeds, but you might get a little bit of a whiff, and you have to get hard on the binders. You have to get a run here
And you can see he's going for the dive, and you can see a "Don't Kill" sticker on the back of Hero, and he must definitely be wishing that thought into existence here. But stay close through this section, and this left-hander here, stay close, and then this is another setup corner under. You got to get off this corner, and that leads you on to that curved straightaway right about here. That leads you into that really narrow section of the track that we saw spin earlier.
Actually, Corey, I'm going to go ahead and retract my previous statement and add a bit of an addendum. I think I do know where I'd try to make a pass, and that would be pit road. If I'm Jack Sanchez, I'm going to try to somehow jump Hero on pit road, whether that means coming down a lap early, getting fresh tires, hoping that you cycle out in clean traffic, and just turning a fast lap with nobody in front of you so that when he pits, he comes out behind, or whether that means just trying to get a better in and out overall pit time. One of those two, I think, is what it's going to take, and that pit stop is coming soon. It seems like the trend the last 2 weeks has been that we're going to go ahead and split the race in half. Usually we get to that 20-minute mark, and that's when you see pit roads start to get busy as drivers trickle in, and then by the time we are 15 minutes to go, it's a busy place. Everybody and their brother's coming for tires and fuel, and so don't get impatient. We got a few minutes here, and these guys are going to get in pit road.
Yeah, I think, as you said, there's not too many, as you can see on that track map, there's not too many openings, but if you're able to time the pit stop in a way where you could put yourself in one of those openings, then you'd be able to run flyers, you'd be able to run your own laps, and then you wouldn't have that traffic issue that you a lot of times see. We saw Fabian have it at VIR in race number 1. But the timing to pull that off is going to be rather difficult. Here comes Scotty Banks with an outside move into turn number 3. Don't see that one too often. Maybe he's going for a high-low, but the momentum wasn't there to execute the exit of that there. Evan Hubchak, he is just behind these guys. This is 17th spot. Evan in that number 7 car shifts with his left hand. I know we saw, what was it, SVG when he ran at Chicago. He's used to shifting with his left hand, and then somehow raced a car for the first time and shifts on the opposite hand and still won the race. So sometimes guys have that skill.
Yeah, I would imagine it's going to be difficult to shift these cars with your left hand, but you never know. Maybe he's got a lot of dexterity as we were on board with number 99. Neil Kemp going to dive to the inside of the Lisa Frank mobile.
For real? That's the trippy car.
No, I think that is literally Lisa Frank, I believe, as he is going to get down to the inside, and that is going to be an overtake.
It's Gary Winters. I don't know what that means. I don't even remember if I wrote that. Maybe I did.
Corn the long way. Oh, no.
If that means something, I don't know if that means something beyond my knowledge. Yeah, Bling. All right, Matthew Gazendo, we need you to be good for a second. And he owns a Mustang, so he should be good. We need a better perspective here. We're going to have, it says Bling, so that literally, as you said, must be a Lisa Frank car in the form of Gary Winters. That's back there in the 30-some-odd position. Up front, not missing too much. You can see that's Randall closing in on Kevin Parrish here. That is 4th and 5th, Fabian Zwire and Matt Malone. Actually, Zwire is closer. Matt Malone trying to each inch on in there, but Jack did lose a little bit of time, first to second, roughly a half second at the moment. And we are catching up to the back of the field. Actually, it's just going to be one individual lone driver. I think that's Greg Brockway. I believe that is, yes, in that 162. So I'm sure he will try to be as respectful as possible, but at a track where there's no room to evade, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, the best place they could possibly catch him would be that long, wide straightaway after that first right-left complex, but I think he's going to just pull over right here. He's got a wide section of the track, puts the blinkers on even, I think I noticed right there. So very respectful lap car, going to get back in line here, and I think that was the best way to play it. They were going to catch him way before that straightaway, and so he found an opening to get wide. We do have a replay. Something happened. Oh, no.
Mike Neekum there.
I think something may have demanded his attention outside of the sim. That was a pretty abrupt.
Greg Brockway, Freddie Reaver. We also have a indication of issues for Freddie. The Lemonade car.
Oh, no.
Why is everyone he just flat missed the corner.
For a minute. Oh, no.
And no, he dented the can. Do we get a refund?
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to shake the lemonades anyway, so.
Yeah, so I just tried to go through the little trigger list I had of potential incidents, but we'll go back to live footage. Luckily, it worked better than it did last week because we weren't able to do that. But gap up front, we're kind of rubber banding between 3/10, 6/10, but I do know that I heard this from some drivers, and admin, as we do have someone in the pits here, Jesse Hodgson. He came in from the 22nd position, so kind of worth noting, first person to draw attention to the pits. But Eero Nam was known, if he kind of stays in second for a long time, he's usually saving fuel. And that makes me wonder, Jack Sanchez is keeping that same gap, 2 to 4 car lengths, maybe 1, but never really making an attempt. Is he trying to save fuel, or is there even fuel to save here at a track this slow?
Well, you can definitely save fuel, especially at a track this slow, because if you're already slowing down a lot for the corner, that means that you can let off even sooner. You have an opportunity to roll into the throttle just a little bit later. Plenty of opportunity to save at a track like this. My question is it worth it? Now, we have seen a lot of variance in the pit times, depending on how much fuel drivers take. And a big issue here.
Jay Little
missing a left front, just a little dent.
What the heck? He blow a tire?
Yeah, I think, unless it just fell off, which I don't think is a thing that can happen on iRacing, I think he blew a tire.
Yeah, because that left front just fell, which, yeah, that is perplexing. But battle Phil Keck trying to catch Matt Malone here. Well, not trying to catch. He has caught him here. Exited turn number 3, heading down the long back straightaway. Matt Malone, we did get a little doodad of information that he did hit the wall and lost some time. As you can see, he was a lot closer to Fabian's Wire and company a little bit ago, but now he is back in the clutches of Phil Keck. So Matt will try to recoup himself there, and I don't know if he can gain that time to catch back up to that pack, but he'll certainly give it his best all here as that little gaggle formulates behind him. And again, lap number 13 complete of an estimated 24 here, so just about 9 to go. I do have the ability, you can see roughly 12 laps to go here in the race, but 18 minutes there on the clock.
Corey, I'm going to make a request that you go on board with the 33 Luke Sadenga real quick. Oh yeah, look at those beautiful dogs. Look at those dogs.
Those are dogs?
They're not dogs.
I didn't write that, by the way.
Hundreds of people have said they're my father. Well.
Is there an episode of Jerry that we could go find from the archives?
You are not the father.
How many envelopes did Jerry have to open? Probably that's what killed him, because he got arthritis from opening 100 envelopes of who Luke Sadenga's father was.
That was the strangest episode of Seinfeld I think they ever made. And somebody proved it. The stuff in envelopes is technically poisonous, but it would leave your system at a quicker rate than you could possibly consume it from envelopes, so you wouldn't actually die. Therefore, there's a fan theory that George's wife or fiance didn't actually die. She just faked her death to get out of the marriage.
Oh my, yeah, I'm a little lax on my Seinfeld. I just know I saw a clip the other day of him wanting to name his child Seven. Resurfaced around the internet. Oh, battle for the lead, maybe, sorta. Thought I saw a side-by-side endeavor for a brief moment, but it did end with Eero remaining on the top spot here through the, I think, 4, 5, 6 section.
Yeah, I think he's going to hold on to it for the time being. Jack Sanchez, just, right on the tow hitch. There's nothing more that you can really do other than apply the pressure and maybe force him into a mistake. But I don't think you're going to do that with Eero Nam. This guy, look, he had that penalty last week. It gave him a bad run. But when he is in the lead, man, he loves the chase, I think. He does not crack under pressure. You cannot press square to intimidate this man. He just turns his laps. I don't think he cares what's going on in the mirror or what you're doing behind him. He's just going to run his line. If you're going to pass him, you're going to pass him.
Oh, let's see. He's under pressure, and he dove it on in there, sent it. And Jack Sanchez, I don't know how well that's going to go over with Eero, because he forced it, and he took it, and he pits.
And then he pits. So just maybe a bit of a I guess just saying, hey, I can pass you, and then coming down the pit road. But you can see maybe a little bit of contact there, wheel to wheel, as they went through the corner. Let's take a different angle at it. Jack Sanchez.
The trees and see, hopefully. There we go, yep.
He got the run, dove it in a little bit deeper like he had been doing, and great heads-up driving by Iro Nam. He immediately altered his racing line. He knew Jack was down there, and he avoided contact in doing so. Now, the left side, Jack is going to go up, and I would not be surprised if they are, Corey, with as slick as this track has been. Now, the question is, did he take both left side tires, or did he just take one on the front or back? Because, again, that is something you can do with these cars.
Yeah, 13-second pit time there, and I think we missed it, but Iro, I do believe... Wait, Iro's not in the session right now. I see on my back end that Iro is great. He's no longer on my timing screen.
Yeah, he's being scored in last place currently.
So, at least in this provisional pit cycle of sorts, Luis Henriquez has taken the lead with Kevin Parrish in second. Unfortunately for Iro, he did perish there, or so at least at the moment. Hopefully is something brings him back into the world, because remember, he has won 4 championships, and the only one he has not won is the one that he did not participate in, which was season 5. So he was looking forward to keeping his perfect streak alive. And with the increased competition, you know, a bad run and potentially technical issues here, this is not starting off in Iro's favor.
No. No, it is not. I am surprised to see him out of the session. I don't know if that was a connection issue, but again, that'll be the second bad week in a row. And Corey, we talked last week about how short this season is. You know, there's only so many races in a year, so that really means you can only afford so many bad races. And right now, the point situation is going to become even more grim for Iro Nam, who is the defending champion. Meanwhile, Kevin Parrish, Luis Henriquez, and of course, Jack Sanchez, these drivers have been very consistent. Matt Malone has been consistent. These drivers running up front and gathering points every week. None of them really having an off week thus far. Jack Sanchez, his first week at VIR was his worst week, but even then, got quite a few points. So he's going to extend his points lead if this shakes out the way that it's looking like it might. So, interesting development here.
Yeah, but we still have the top 9 or so. I can bring up the stint graphic on the ticker on the left side of your display, and you can see the top 9 all have yet to come to the attention of their crews. Jack Sanchez back to the 10th spot. Worth noting, he is, let's go focus on his intervals for a brief moment. 26 seconds off the lead, 6 seconds off the next position, and his pit stop cycle, Andre, was right in there about 35 seconds, I think it was, on the other graphic. I can refresh that very quickly. 34, so in the mathematics that has always proven to be wrong, he should have an 8-second lead when this is all done, but for some reason that math has never mathed for us. But let's see if Henriquez here, coming off a 13. Let's see if he makes that hard right-hand corner. Question is asked, answer is answered, and that is a yes, and he'll bring Parrish and McGrew in with him. Let's see what Matt Malone decides to do. Is he going to go for the lap lead, go for the points? Well, he's going to go for the lap lead. Is he going to get the lap lead with them in the pits? I don't know.
I think he got there just barely. It was going to be close.
Hey, give it to him, give it to him.
Not.
Nope. So,
according to timing and scoring, he did not, but he is going to stay in the lead. Well, what do you think, Corey? Does he stay out another one?
Well, I mean, the fuel is in the tank, and this is an opportunity for him to run a flyer. Now, it is a bonus point for lap lead. It's also a bonus point for fastest lap. So, this is a chance to get both. I don't know if he has it in the, in the wheelhouse to get fastest lap here today, but he can at least run a flyer right now with no traffic, and that could benefit him on his pit cycle when he exits. Versus running in traffic, maybe being a little bit slowed up there. But Sanchez is in second. Only 15 seconds back, so Malone's going to have quite the gap to Sanchez when everything's all said and done. And then Henriquez 2 seconds back of Sanchez. So Sanchez, he is looking primo right here, particularly with Iro still being out of it and presumably not being able to come back.
Well, and at this point, even if he does come back, I think he's going to have a rough time making up any sort of points or positions. So kind of a lost cause, I would say, as long as he's been gone. Matt Malone still leading the way, but again, once he comes down pit road, it will be Jack Sanchez with a significant, nearly 2-second lead over Luis Enriquez. And that is nothing to scoff at. That 23 machine has been so good today. Again, I think he was a little bit quicker on raw pace than Ironom, and when we saw him make that pass, it was aggressive, but again, one of the few drivers to make a pass up front. So definitely impressive drive so far. 10 minutes to go, so he's just got to get roughly what is that going to be, like 8 laps for him to secure this race.
Now let's go and we can switch back. Yep, there you go, 7 laps. So, but 1.2 seconds. Matt Malone. Matt Malone is in the pits right now, as we just talked about him from the lead, and you can just see him falling down that ticker there. He probably should shake out. I'm thinking around 9th or 10th when this is all said and done, maybe or so. He's in 6th right now, and well, maybe that was a pessimistic estimate there, because he's going to end up in 6th with a little bit of a gap to 7th, with Phil Keck has that lap car in the middle. I think that's the Lisa Frank mobile. Maybe we can get a good look here. Yeah, that's a good look. Yep, it is Lisa Frank with the unicorns and the bling, so takes me back to my Trapper Keepers from elementary school. So nice ride there from whoever that is. The name has already been lost to me. The 167 car. Gary Winters, that is.
I said Gary getting a little bit squirrely on corner entry there as we're following along, but he does get a good exit.
Well, gets out of the way for Keck.
The bottom of the track, let Keck around. A good move there. Didn't give up too much time, but was able to let him navigate through. Looking a little bit further back, that's Luke Sedenga leading this pack.
Leading Norbert or Daggett, yep, depending on your mood. Nick Beaver.
Yes, sir. Nick Beaver. Again, chat's favorite driver. 30 years old, Wisconsin's okayest late model driver. Well, he's doing pretty solid today. Top 10. I think he was hovering in around the top 10 last week as well.
Is that him on his own roof?
Well, let's investigate.
I'm trying to. I mean, getting an angle of this through the trees is going to be near impossible here, but there is a persona upon the roof of that vehicle. I'm going to say that he has himself on his roof.
That might be.
And the Jimmy Broadbent opening as the opening thing of Jimmy Broadbent streams as the delivery on that car. So I'm sure that's not the theme, but that's just what I relate it to. So is what it is. But Sanchez up by 2 seconds now. He's got a little bit of traffic in the middle between him and Henriquez there. So we'll see on the lap times here. We'll pull up the battle graphic between first and second. Dead equal with a skosh of an advantage to Sanchez here. So he is just going to have to cruise this thing out, but I'm trying to figure out vaguely where he is on circuit. Henriquez into the back of the slow car there. That's going to kill that gap by about a half second. But what I wanted to bring up is we are slowly, well, he's got a couple, maybe 2 or 3 lap cars in the mix. He's closing in right now on that number 99 car of Neil Kemp through the most difficult complex of the track, 8, 9, 10 through 11. But now he has an almost 3-second lead, so he can be a lot more patient with it.
Yeah, he's got a big gap. He can take it easy and just try to, hit his marks. I'm hoping, though, for that car that made contact, I'm hoping the radiator isn't damaged. That was a pretty significant hit as Luis Enriquez got into the back of that lap car. It looks okay as we look down the straightaway. It doesn't seem to be too much damage, but iRacing's damage model doesn't always reflect what's going on under the hood. So I would hope that he doesn't have any temperature issues. It's not super hot out today. Again, 75 degrees in sim, although the track is scorching hot. The air is not. So we'll see what happens with Henriquez. If he can hold on for a solid podium finish, maybe try to reel in Jack Sanchez. Randall McGrew currently running third now. He had a really good qualifying effort. He was among the first to post a time, and for a minute at least, he held on to the provisional pole. So we know that Mr. McGrew's got a pretty good ride underneath him, and we'll see if he can take that ride to a podium. Kevin Parrish, Fabian Zweier, Matt Malone did gain a position through all of the pit sequence chaos. He was 7th, now sitting 6th. Luke Sedenga in the 33 P8, but we do have an issue on track. Let's try to see who exactly this is. The 178 John Casey, electrician during the day, sim racer at night. Yes, he is going to get that car going once again. Looks like a little bit of front-end damage, but nonetheless, going to be able to continue on. Take a look at the PTR TV replay.
Well, this is of Stephen Price. All right, so we saw the end result of that, but let's see. He's got Gary Winters. Oh, that was some mean Lisa Frank. They must have been a marital fight, a marital dispute there between Lisa and Frank, and unfortunately, Stefan took the bad end of the stick on it.
Yeah, he got the bad end of that. I'll say that. The front end completely destroyed. I don't think that's a very competitive car.
Andre, I think you have been given some updates as to what happened to Eero.
Yeah, so we see in chat, there's a message that says Eero speeding in pits, Alt F4. I don't know if that's actually the case or if that's just a little bit of jest, kind of speculation. But that may be the case. He could have sped and then just called it a day, although I can't imagine it would be worth it to throw away the entire race. At this point, when the point situation is that close, even if you get a speeding penalty, take the penalty, try to get as many points back as you can. I don't think Alt F4 would be the smart move, so I kind of doubt that's the case, but I guess we'll find out.
There's nothing to prove otherwise, so that's what we have to go with. And of course, this week, as looks like the 69 of Parrish dives underneath McGrew into 3, and it looks like that pass will be completed relatively safely. Fabian Zweier trying to take advantage of the situation as well. And of course, if you like this week, next week on February 13th, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this later, then scroll back to February 13th. We'll be at Watkins Glen, so that is going to be the super speedway of this series in terms of its straightaway breaks, chicane. So pretty straightforward circuit there at Watkins Glen. Next couple weeks going to be Suzuka, Road America, and Interlagos. That'll take us till mid-March. Of course, we'll end up with this season in the middle of April here, as our cameras like to pan into the forest and the abyss here. That is the streets of Detroit. But again, this is the best battle on the track, is up there 3rd through 7th. We see Beaver closing in on the number 94 of Reese Gardner. Reese Gardner in that green and white car. He's also closing in on Luke Sedenga here. I can't use right hand is the super serious track guides guy. I don't know why he can't use his right hand, but could be physical, could be a joke. Don't quite know, but we'll take that as what it is. Ed Sanchinelli in that number 199 car. He's trying to close in on the RC car. That is Dahan O'Toot there. Dan Ott in that number 29. I just like saying it wrong because it's a simple name, so saying it wrong makes me feel special. But see, that's a battle for 20th. Just going through the final battles here as this race does come to an end. David Moore there. He was in close proximity to somebody. Trying to find what else we can on circuit. That's about wraps it up here. So we'll just go back up front where it is about a 2-second gap. First to second, Jack Sanchez more or less has this in the bag, and he has some traffic in between him and second.
Yeah, he's got a solid gap, and again, traffic separating them. Also, in the chat, it has been confirmed that on Eero's stream, it was an Alt F4, so that would be why he's out of the session. He got that penalty, took the Alt F4, and that is surprising to me because you would think he would want to salvage as many points as possible. Maybe he's just confident that he'll be able to get those points back before the end of the season, but either way, not going to be a good night for Eero.
What's that song? It's a rap song that you won't know. I'm not cocky, I'm confident. When you tell me I'm the best, it's a compliment, something like that. So he goes all for broke. All he does is win, and if he doesn't win, he just quits until he wins. That's how he keeps his perfect record. If he doesn't win, but actually that's not true because last week he stayed in for about 15th. So, but either way, we'll see what Eero can do next week. And my God, I cannot wait to get out of a street circuit where the cameras aren't stuck behind something every single lap. But we'll take a look here. Coming to this end of the lap, Andre, I think we're going to get 2 to go. We're going to close in on the stripe with a minute 56. An average lap here is a minute 43, so that'll give us 2 more laps to go.
Yeah, they're going to get to the line just in time for an extra lap, which means that's just a little bit more work that
now,
Jack Sanchez
hold the phone here. Hold the phone here. What is our gap difference first to second now within a half second?
Yeah, he closed. Oh, 2 cars into the wall. Luis Enriquez, Kevin Parrish, both getting into the wall now. Jack Sanchez, again, he had a 2.5-second lead just moments ago. So whether or not he made a mistake that we didn't catch on camera, we don't know. But end result, either way, number 4 machine Luis Enriquez has closed in significantly, as has Parrish. So it is going to be a battle for these final 2 laps. It's no longer a surefire thing for Jack Sanchez. He's going to have to keep an eye on that mirror.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Sanchez is going to hold on to the lead, but Luis Enriquez...
He may have damaged the suspension hard with that, because that was not a light...
Sanchez in the wall, Corey. Second place, caught back up.
Yeah, so we saw Enriquez murder the wall there too, but I think, yeah, you saw Sanchez did as well. Coming down the long straightaway, blocks left, goes right here, entering the right-hander, narrow complex. This is not the best part of the track to pass, but they're all under a blanket. You have to wonder who's damaged the car the least. And if anything, Kevin Parrish maybe look at his chops here. He's like, I haven't hit anything, so you guys watch out. I'm going to pass both of you here, but not quite yet.
Oh, this is a great battle. Sanchez and Luis Enriquez both working with moving.
Here comes Parrish.
Sliding out of the corner. Parrish going to try to take advantage of that. Down to the bottom side of the track. It's going to be a move for second place, but it won't come to fruition. Falls back in line. Single file. 17 seconds on the clock. We are not going to make it to the line in time, or we will make it to the line in time, so it will be another lap. There's the white flag in the air for race leader Jack Sanchez. Final time around this circuit.
Oh,
second
look at
place
the
dive down to the bottom. Enriquez looking to the low side. The time for playing, the time for waiting is gone. It is time to make your move. What is that helmet? I think he's got that smiley face helmet that old John Delaney used to wear. But as he rolls through the straightaway, it's again going to be a bit of a slipstream maneuver, trying to pull out of line on the outside. We saw this earlier. And will he do a switchback? No, he's going to stay in line.
Now we're coming through turn number 4 here. Now this is all setting up for the run down the back straightaway, because that's going to be the next best passing zone. A tight contact to the wall there from Enriquez. You can see right to the rear deck lid. Is he going to give him a punt, or is he going to set himself up for a corner exit? He did neither of the two. If anything, he hurt himself, lost about a car length. He's going to have to eat it all up here in really the final prime braking zone.
Yeah, it's really going to be one more attempt, but look at this. Kevin Parrish with probably the least damaged car. It's going to get 2 for 1. Dives to the low side. Tries to make something happen for second place. It's not going to come to be.
Fabian Zweier out of it.
Yeah, Fabian Zweier a little bit further back, but as we work through this tricky part of the track, I think time is running out for Luis Enriquez. He's going to have to throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. A little bit of contact to the bumper, but just enough to give him a gentle tap. Man, oh man, we're going to be heading into the final right-handers of the track. What can happen side by side for the lead around the outside?
How did he get there?
Into the wall. He's there. It might be a drag race.
Oh, no!
To the line. No. Sanchez around. Big damage to the front. He won't make it to the line. Now the battle is between Enriquez and Parrish, but it is going to be Enriquez at the line by a nose. What a race. I would like to see a replay of how exactly...
I am royally confused myself, because I exited one camera and I didn't see any possibility of Enriquez getting to the outside, but somehow he did. I took advantage of the situation myself, not realizing there was a possibility. We'll scroll back a little bit further here. So he got to the rear bumper. Let's go on board with him. Now, why did he slow up? Was that you can't get a slowdown here?
Well, I don't think he slowed down. I think his car was just that damaged that the straight line speed wasn't there, because every time they got to a straight line...
How did he go around?
That was wheel spin. It was wheel spin.
Or was that... I thought it was... It looked like net code from a distance. Now... he may have gone around off of Parrish. Yeah, the trees kind of blocked it, but...
Well, we can go on board with Parrish, but I don't think there was contact there. I think that may have just been old-fashioned wheel spin like we saw so many times tonight. Got the tail end of it there again. Keep an eye on that blue 23 side by side for the lead. As they come out of this corner. Okay, yeah, a little bit of net code.
Now, I want to go back from Parrish one more time here. So, you can see here, it appears he slowed up. I mean, the change in velocity was so drastic, it gave Enriquez that opportunity there. It just appeared as such that he slowed up, and it all just came together, and then it just was a drag race to the line, and there just wasn't enough real estate and momentum to give Parrish that run. But overall, fantastic stuff. Caught us all by surprise here with how quickly everything happened in the end. But we got to get rolling here with our post-race show, and we'll go and have a word with some of these guys and try to figure out what happened from their perspective. But our race results populating on screen here in absolute thrilling and semi-confusing fashion here. Luis Enriquez takes the win by 1/10 of a second over Kevin Parrish, with Fabian Zweier in third. Phil Keck in fourth. Zach Sanchez, we were calling him down, and it just last lap didn't work out. Back to fifth. Luke Sedenga in sixth. Matt Malone, another solid, consistent run with a seventh. Gardner, Beaver, and Bast are top 10.
Okay, so as it scrolls through the rest of the drivers, I'm getting some word from a driver who was in the session. That extra lap was not planned for, Corey. These drivers took just enough fuel to get to the end without that extra lap. That's why Sanchez slowed down so much. That's why Migru, who was up inside the top 5, finished so far back. Those drivers were either out of fuel or had to conserve fuel because they didn't think we were going to get that extra lap. So that explains the situation. Lots of cars had to tow. Migru was one of many. So a little bit of chaos breaking out, and I guess we were not fully aware of the fuel situation. But going back to the unofficial results, Scotty Banks, Evan Hoopchak, David Fernandez, Chuck Labano, Brandon Brush, Greg Hartman, Mark Royce, Ed Sancinelli, Dan Ott, and Matthew Guzenda. And that is going to be the top 20. Top 30, Matt Thompson, just get through these quickly. Christopher Schultes, Levi Powell, Jeff Besnard, Dave Blair, David Moore, Kevin Becker, Randall McGrew, Todd Hansen, and Neil Kemp. 31 through 40 is going to go as ordered once it scrolls. David Finch, Gary Winters, Ryan Bevel, Ashton Fizers, Freddie Weaver, Greg Brockway, John Casey, Brandon Smith, Andrew Lanning, and Eero Nam after his Alt F4. And we are going to let the rest of the field scroll by as we prepare for our final post-race show here, getting some interviews, getting some words with the drivers in this chaotic race. Let's see who can get lined up.
All right, we have our overall winner. So, Luis, that was a thriller of a finish here. We don't want that graphic. We want this one. I guess we found out the extra lap really threw the fuel mileage off, and you took advantage when Jack just ran out towards the very end there. What was that like from your perspective?
Surprised even. I was chasing him down, and I was thinking, well, he's gaining on me, so if I try to push anymore, I'm just gonna melt the tires down. But I started pulling on him all of a sudden. I noticed it was down on the straight, so I was figuring out he was saving, so I was trying to push him as much as I could there.
Yeah, it turned out, we watched from the broadcast spot, I'm sure you had it as well, it turned out to be about a 12-second variant between getting that last lap in when you guys crossed the stripe. Do you guys really calculate the fuel that tight in these races to, minimize that time on pit road where you don't have that buffer?
It is so aggressive that I'm pretty sure that most of us are under fueling at that point. We're pretty much hoping that either of us will run out at that point. So we either get lucky with the extra lap or we just run out of the line. And then literally Jack did at the very end there as well.
Yeah, as we saw, well, next week we take the walls off, we take the speeds up, and we head to Watkins Glen, a track that everybody has run thousands of laps at. What do you feel like heading to the upstate New York region next week?
It's going to be a battle of patience and who makes mistakes, because it's really fast track, so it's all about seeing who messes up and who takes each other's place. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very, very tight race for the win there.
All right, well, we'll see if you can go back to back. You've been competitive all season. I expect just the same next week, man. Congrats. We'll talk to you.
Hey, and great broadcast as well, man. See you next week.
Appreciate that, man. Now Andre has caught up with second place. Kevin Parrish, who nearly snuck the win out there.
Mr. Parrish, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Kevin, that was quite an exciting battle. I know Corey and I were looking at you behind those two leaders who we know were kind of conserving fuel and also had a little bit of damage. We're thinking Kevin might just sneak this one out, and didn't quite get to the podium, but either way, it was a great points day. Tell me a little bit about that battle from your perspective.
Yeah, I think I did a little better on tire management than Black Dog did, and then Jack seemed to have some fuel issues, so we all kind of bunched up there at the end and kind of had a free for all. And I know I got into Jack there on the last corner, so I want to look that back over myself, but that's just hard racing, I hope, but we'll find out.
Yeah, again, on the broadcast, it looked a little bit like there was some net code, and from what I'm understanding, Sanchez may have actually been out of fuel at the time that happened. So either way, definitely a tough situation, especially at a street course like this. And speaking of this track, how different was the experience here versus the last 2 weeks where we were at kind of more dedicated racing circuits?
Well, I am street course's biggest fan. Any street course, I'm there. So I loved it. Elbows out, dogfighting the whole way. And this was one of my best weeks.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. You had a lot of speed in that car, and we're looking forward to it. And hopefully we're talking to you under similar circumstance. But thank you for your time, Kevin.
Thank you, guys. You're killing the broadcast.
Appreciate the kind words. We're going to let you go hang out in chat with the other drivers and celebrate that podium. All right, that is going to be second place out of the booth now. I'm honestly not even sure who snuck third away there, Corey. Well, so take it away.
Well, we actually have our amateur class here, and we had him, and then as soon as I grabbed him, he done left.
Ruh-roh.
So, whoopsie daisy. So I do have Greg Hartman. So, Mark didn't want to talk to us, evidently. So we got you, Greg, but you led the AM class. No, you were second in the AM class here. So overall, I mean, we didn't really talk too much about the AM class today because you were in the weeds here the whole race, but you snuck out the class second place here, I believe. So what was it like from the 141 perspective tonight?
Well, it was a tight race, but I was hoping to be up there with Chuck at the front of the AMs, but I got held up in traffic at the start. So I was battling back there for a while, and then when I finally got through, I was being hounded by Mark behind me. I got him in the pit stops and cleared a little gap there. So it was pretty much stressful the entire race.
Yeah, no, we know with the pro drivers, they calculated their fuel, and we ended up having a mass fuel, shortage there on the last lap with that, I guess, what was calculated to be a bonus lap, as we were told. What was that perspective like for you on the fuel mileage, taking that extra 24th lap?
Well, I tend to go a little over because I feel like down in the AMs we're not as tight on the fueling. But last thing I want to do is run out of fuel.
Yeah, well, you made it here. You get yourself, I think, third in class. Now, Chuck has kind of been the best of the class thus far. So we head to Watkins Glen next week. That should be, I call it the super speedway of the league, really. So you think you got something for him, or even some of the pros guys next week?
Yeah, we had a preseason race at the Glen, and I was doing pretty well in quali, but I couldn't put together in the race. So I'm going to try and nail down my consistency and work the draft and work my way up to the front of the AMs.
Yeah, it should be a good one. We're looking forward to it, man. Congrats on a solid run in class, and we'll see what you can do next week.
Thank you.
Well, now we do have Chuck Labano here, our class winner, I think, for the second week in a row.
Mr. Lamano, you got a copy? You got a copy, Chuck?
It should be
sounds
live.
like we got you.
Oh,
this is Andre up in the booth. You got a copy, Chuck?
I'm trying, man.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
Son of a bitch.
I can't. No, Andre.
I don't know why it's...
We don't have something on our soundboard as he figures this stuff out. How come we don't have it ain't got no gas in it on our soundboard for today? We could have actually used it.
Yeah, we could add that in there.
All right, how's now?
I mean, we've heard you the whole time.
You,
so
yeah, we've got you the whole time.
Awesome. Okay, beautiful.
All right, Chuck. Well, I'll tell you what. You seem to be class of the field here for the amateurs. We're talking to you week in and week out, consistently racking up those points, getting great finishes here in a sizable field. What was it like here in Detroit tonight for you?
Well, I have to say I'm pretty happy. It was another pretty boring race. Not much happened. I got a great start after a pretty good qualifying. and I basically just sat on the ass of David for pretty much the whole race. I had a nice little buffer behind me, so I really didn't have much to challenge at all. So for me, it was like just a maintain a pace. That was it.
And that's what it takes. We saw so many drivers that potentially had pace to win, have some sort of misfortune or make some sort of mistake that took them out of the game and ultimately ruined their points night, which is going to make it difficult for them in the championship. But you, a bit of a steady Eddie, just clocking laps like you said. You said it last week. You're going to say it again this week. A boring race is a good race when you're focused on the bigger picture. And looks like you're continuing that mentality. But what's the mindset going into next week?
We're gonna keep working on our consistency. It's basically the thing that's gotten me to the front of the field most of the time throughout the seasons. And this year I'm a little bit quicker, so I'm just gonna maintain that consistency first. I love me those standing starts, man. I do great on them. So, and my pit stops are all being practiced. So I just maintain what I'm doing, keep going, and don't die.
Generally a great mentality. And I guess I'll ask you one last question, because you mentioned those standing starts. Standing starts are chaotic to begin with, but then you have this field, which is, if you're in the middle of this field, you got 30 cars in front, 30 cars behind. What does it take to find so much success? What are you doing that's giving you such a good advantage here on these initial starts?
I'm guessing I feel a lot like Moses. So not only am I getting the good starts, but they tend to just split the middle for me. I had a good start at Virginia too. Didn't work out in the end. But yeah, I always get that first start, and then basically it's find a slot. Once you can find that slot after you've got to the first corner, it gets a lot easier after that.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on the amateur class win, and we're going to let you go celebrate, hang out in the chat. Thanks for your time, Mr. Labano.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So that is going to be the amateur division winner out of the booth, and I believe that is going to be the final interview, Corey.
Yep, that is a broadcast here. Congrats go to our overall winner, Luis Henriquez there. And got to feel bad for Jack Sanchez there. He's had so many good runs. Thought tonight was going to be the night, but the fuel was the dagger for him. But make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be back on Thursday night with the Red Sox Racing League, and then we pick up next week as oval season begins, and we'll start to be a full calendar by the end of the month. So make sure you like and subscribe, and don't miss any of the action. But that's going to be Corey and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.